Hi there. I've been asked by a few people how it is that I clean my locos and such like for exhibitions where they all run for a solid 8 to 10 hours per day at an exhibition. So that's what I'm going to go through here. The first thing I do is I get some old twinning earth like this. This is old stuff that I've got lying about, not allowed to be used around houses anymore because it's the wrong colour. But I then just get it and I will chop a bit off the end like that. I then, hopefully you can see all this, just split the end to get into the earth wire and pull the earth wire back a bit like that, and then I just flatten it over the back like that. That then lets me get it out into the two cores for this end, and all I'm going to do here is cut off the outer like that, and then I'm going to do the same, exactly the same at the other end. Get into the earth wire, pull it back. I'm pulling it back a little bit further in this case, and then get into the two wires and trim off the excess. So that's what we've got. Throw that out the way. So we have two bits of wire like this, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to strip the ends of these to give us two bits that we can run onto the actual wheels of the locos like that. Then at the other end I need to be able to connect the power. So this is how I do it. Like that. There's our four little bits. Shove them out the way. And that's what I use for the power. All I then do is connect my power supply to it. So there's one side. It doesn't matter which side you connect it to actually. Just connect one side and then there's the other side. So they're connected onto it. Yeah? Really simple. This is the Loco we're going to clean, which is one that's ran for pretty well 2 days. So that's somewhere about 16, 17 hours it ran. And as you can see, the wheels are really quite dirty on them. In fact, they're really very, very dirty. So the first stage I might do with that is we're going to give it a good clean with the white spirit and see if it cleans. If it doesn't, then we'll follow on to the second stage. So the first stage is put the Loco in there, pick up one of the cotton buds, and as I say, tip I have is to actually wind these in your finger to make them tighter. Some you will find are wound clockwise and some of them are wound anti-clockwise, so you just need to find out which ones you've got, and then that just makes them tighter. I use white spirit, keep it in a little jar like this, and I just dip it into the white spirit so that the end is nice and damp, and I then lay my power onto the wheels nice and easily. Right, you can see it turning. Now, what you will see here is this will be very, very dirty. Can you see that? You see how dirty that is? Oh. Turn the other end and just clean it off. Now that has cleaned off a huge amount of the dirt on that, but it's still leaving a little tyre mark, and what I would do to get rid of the tyre mark is I actually use a Dremel. You see this Dremel here? And this is a little plastic cleaner which I use. So you just again lay that carefully onto them, switch on the Dremel, and you can give that a little polish. You can see that the tire mark has now gone. You see the one beside it, you can see the tire mark. If I was to do it again and just do it on the center one, didn't want to do that. You see the tire mark is now gone on that. So what we do is we just give it another little clean with the white spirit. So we go in, just dip it in the white spirit. Then we turn the brush, the cotton bud round. And then we have 4 lovely clean wheels, as you can see there, comparing especially to the back one. We need to do that back one, so we turn it round, and then we will just repeat the exercise on the rear wheels. But this time we'll just start with the Dremel because we know they're very dirty. It's just a very, very light touch that you do onto the wheel. And then you just clean off the excess of the muck that you spread around the wheel with the white spirit. And then we have a Loco with lovely clean wheels which will run absolutely beautifully. There you go. So that shows you how dirty, oh, it does if I get it in the frame. That shows you how much dirt there was on these wheels after about 16 hours running at an exhibition. Right, so, but as you can see, the wheels absolutely spotlessly clean. Final exercise I would do on this Loco, or any Loco after I've cleaned it, is to actually lubricate the wheels. And I use this stuff because I find it is actually the best stuff around for doing it. There you go, you can read it fairly easily there. INOX MX5 PTFE. Really, really good. And it comes with a nice nozzle that you can drop it in. Because I just check it to make sure it's just doing tiny little drops, which it is. And I do a tiny little drop just into each axle. You see there? Just onto the axles, and then a little bit onto the gears. If they're plastic gears, I'll put a little bit of oil on them and then just give them a run for a little bit just to make sure the oil is round everywhere. If you've spilt any oil underneath, just clean it off with the tip of a brush. There we go, running absolutely beautifully now. So no problem at all there. I will sometimes, if things really get really boggy and are really wanting to get into the detail, use these tiny little brushes, which some people buy for painting. I think there are also makeup ones, these little bits of plastic with tiny little pieces on the end. You just use them exactly the same, running them on the wheels in the same way, and that will clean them up. That's the process. Highly recommended you think about something like that. That's about £9–10 for a bottle Definitely the best stuff that I've come across for doing it with. So there we go. Hope this is useful for everybody, and that you managed to get all your Locos nice and clean.